Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth workshop of Futurepreneurs 2021. I'm Yulia, the coordinator of this project. And if you don't know, Futurepreneurs is a sustainability pre-acceleration program organized by Sunrise Valley Science Technology Park since 2017. And while we focus on the teams participating in this program, all events, including this, are public and available for everyone interested in the topic. So now, without any further ado, I would like to introduce the lecturer of this workshop. So Rasa Verkauskaitė-Kazanskienė is the head of SSE and Marketing at Swedbank in Lithuania, and she has extensive experience working in the financial services industry, mainly with SMEs and financial analysis. So the fact that she has analyzed quite a number of companies gives her an ability to share with you the insights of what has to be calculated and evaluated at the very beginning of your company's activities. So Rasa, please, the virtual stage is yours.
Hello, Yulia. Hello, everyone. Thank you for those high expectations at the beginning, Yulia. Yeah, as I know, you all have a task to do with your business cases. And this task is to answer to a question: how much money do you need for the first time, for the first year of your business? So I'm here today in order to help you to answer to this question. And in order to do that, I will lead you through three main topics. The first one, how to make revenue forecast. The second one, how to make a cost forecast, and the third one, make a break-even point analysis. And during those topics, we will have several discussions. So I really encourage you to ask your questions and be proactive, because I really, from my experience, see that the main questions comes when you try to understand the topic from your point of view and to adapt it for your business case. So just be proactive, give answers, ask, and I hope that I will help you to make your task a little bit easier. And what else? Your task is to get one number, is the amount of money. But what I believe that it's not about the numbers, and something else is important in order to answer to those questions. So I will share with you what it is important from my point of view during this hour as well. So please be proactive during the discussions. You can share your questions in chat as well, but definitely we will have time to do it during the discussions in between the topics. So let's move to first of one. It's revenue forecast. And if we are looking to the formula, so it seems quite simple. We just the revenues are equal price of goods sold, or of goods or services sold, multiply on numbers of units sold. And one technical question: do you see the full screen here? Julia, maybe you can compliment me on this one, because
yes, all good.
All good. Okay, because it's a little bit differently, so wondering how you see it. Okay, so so multiply on the number of goods of units sold, and yeah, this is like that. But in my opinion, there's more questions than the answers in this formula, because the question is how we can evaluate the number of the units we can sell if we even started our business yet, or how to evaluate the price and what is the fair price. And this formula does not give an answer to those questions. Therefore, there is something important to evaluate as well. So one of the important things that have to be evaluated in order to calculate those revenues for the first year is to evaluate your business context. And what I have in mind here. First of all, when we are talking about revenues, I would suggest you to analyze what are the resources in your corporate, in your business. How many employees do you have? How many salesperson you are going to have? Because it affects your ability, your marketing, your sales strategy. So you have to be sure how many resources you have in place, and maybe just to figure it out what kind of resources you need additionally. For example, if you will decide that you have a really difficult product that requires a high knowledge, and you have to ensure this knowledge with your workers, so it means that maybe you have to consider to have your own sales team, salesperson, and ensure this quality. So in this case, you have to evaluate the number of salespersons you need to have in your team. On the other hand, if you have a very simple product that do not requires any high competences and it is really basic, so in this case you can consider just to outsource the sales and to hire some kind of consultation center, for example, for that call center. So you have to think about how are you going to reach your clients, what will be your sales strategy, and what other sources, what kind of resources you need for that, and what suits you the best. Again, according to the difficulty of a product you are going to present to the market. The second one, just be clear what is your product, what is your product or service you are going to provide to the market, and to understand who are the main competitors in the market, and how you differs from them. What are your main competitive advantages compared with the other products in the market? And in this case, I would suggest you not to just to dive a little bit deeper and to find the real differences from the competitor's product. If there are such differences, do not stay in the ground level. Just think what is unique about your product, because I already once told this story, but I had several meetings with the fintechs who were going to provide the same service to the market. And I was asking them why I have to be a client of theirs and what are the competitive advantage of their solutions compared with the others. And the main answer that I got was that the main competitive advantage is their attitude to the client, that they care about the client, they will give their clients a high cooperation quality. But again, if everyone talking about the same competitive advantages, so it's not a competitive advantage, it's a market standard. So when you are thinking about your product competitive advantages, think about this twice and go deep dive. Because on the other hand, it is important. You will have to set the price for your product. You have to evaluate what are the prices of relevant products in the market, of similar products in the market, and how your price seems compared to the competitor prices. And in this case, if you are going to go with a higher price, you have to understand how you can sell it to the clients as well. What are the values for the client, additional values of your product, why clients have to pay more, and secondly, do they ready to pay for it, for that values, additional values, a little bit more for your product. So there's a lot of related topics when we are talking about your product and competitive products in the market. I already mentioned target clients, so definitely you have to evaluate who are your target client, and what's more, what is your target market, and how are you going, by what steps are you going to enter which market? Because, for example, last year I heard several pitches about business ideas as well, and there are some kind of examples such as that my product can be sold for everyone customer, private customer, and it means that we have such kind of billion customer through the world, potential customers, and we are going to make a huge amount of revenues in the first year. It seems unlikely because first of all, you have to have, again, resources for that. And secondly, you won't beat every competitor in the market that already exists for years. If we are competitors and you are not the one in such kind of market. So in this case, just think about it in a simple way. Which other markets you are going to enter in the first year, in the second year? For example, maybe in the first year you will start only in Lithuania, in the second year you will enter Latvia, Estonia, and in the third year you are going to enter, I don't know, Germany, Italy, or Spain. So make first of all the steps, what markets are you going to enter, and evaluate how many potential target clients in this market, and what are the percentage of a market you could take in the beginning, in the first year. So those are a lot of assumptions, but you just have to make it step by step. So do not start with I will take all the world and expand my business to billions in the first year. Just make it step by step. What is the target market? Which countries are you going to enter? How many target clients in each market? Who are the main competitors? What are your competitive advantages? And based on that, how do you feel how many percent of a market you can reach? And again, then you think about how many percent of market you can reach. Think about the first topic, your resources. How many employees, or what you are going to have on sales, or what will be your sales strategy? Will you be able to contact your target clients as fast as you willing to do that? So this is something to reconsider and to place it step by step in your context evaluation. The second one, the next one, when we're talking about the price of your product, you have to evaluate who are your possible suppliers or service providers in the market. It means that if you are manufacturing something, you have to see who are selling the details that you need, and the materials, how much do they cost, where are your suppliers in Lithuania, or maybe in other countries, maybe in China even, and you have to buy a lot of materials at one time. Just just make an evaluation. Who are your potential suppliers? How much does it cost, the materials that you have to buy from them in order to make your product? So this is the cost that you will have in any case if you want to have a product in this case. And what more, we had the COVID situation last year, and what it shows, that it is really important to have an alternative in service providers, in suppliers. So just think about the bigger picture. A longer list of potential supplier service providers in order to have your product or service. And the last but not least, just evaluate the regulations, the legal requirements that are in the market for your product, because it can be be that you need some kind of very expensive license. For example, if you would like to provide payment card services and you need a Visa MasterCard license, it means that you have to have several $100,000 on the table, and it is an additional investment, and it increases the cost of your product or services as well. So what do I have in mind? That in order to predict what are the revenues will be revenues in the first year, or the price of your product, you have to answer to this question and be very honest and clear with yourself, because it all dependent on each another, it all related. So just go step by step, answer to this question, and maybe you even change your starting plan based on the findings you will get when going through these steps. So first key to forecast is to evaluate your business context. And the second key to forecast, in order to make a forecast, I even already mentioned it, you have to make an assumptions. For example, when we are talking about corporate clients financing, we always ask, or even for existing companies, what the amount of revenues or profitability you forecast for example, 2021. And if companies present, for example, that my sales will increase by 30%, so the next question is, what are the assumptions for that? So are you going to present some kind of product? Are you going to increase your product price? Are you going to attract some kind of new clients? So those are the questions to existing companies. So they have to make an assumptions, because just in case you believe in assumptions, you can trust the numbers that you forecast. So the same goes to you. When you're starting a business, you have to make an assumptions and to believe in them. And based on assumptions, you are making, getting numbers. So what are the several assumptions that I would like to suggest you to consider? So first of all, how much time you need in order to release your product or services. We are talking about starting business, so in this case you have to understand how fast you actually will be able to provide your product to the market and to start earning money, revenues. So and how long is the time when you are preparing, when you creating your product? So just evaluate this period, because there will be only cost and no revenues at that time. Secondly, when you make revenues forecast, you have to evaluate the seasonality of your product or services in your business. For example, maybe you will be selling the most in summer, and there no demand in winter if we are selling, for example, ice creams. So just evaluate and make it clear in your revenues forecast. If we are seasonality, you have to show it in forecast as well, because there will be cases when, you have to understand why it's fluctuating, your revenues fluctuating during the year. What I already mentioned, you have to decide, are you going to make direct sales, or are you going to sell through distributors, agents, or partners? And it is related to your capability to how many clients you can reach per day, per week, per month, and this is about your capacity. It's related to the last one, actually, to the sales strategy. It means that you even can make this forecast very detailed. So what are resources you have in place? How many calls, visits, or emails you can send to the target clients in day, in week, per month? And what is possible? What is possible? This success ratio. How many clients you will reach and close the deal. So this is again about the assumptions and maybe a little bit about market situation and practice. And what is the price of your product? Again, those are the assumptions, but you have to know the price. I already mentioned, so I won't start here, but you have to understand the price and you have to evaluate a plan B here. So if you're entering the market and you feel that the price is not right, that clients are not paying for your extra value because they do not see such value compared to the competitors. So in this case, you even have to evaluate and make an assumption what is the alternative price you could sell your product for. So this is just suggestions, maybe a little bit guidelines of what you have to think about, but definitely it depends on your business case, what kind of business you are going to start, and what are the most important in your case. But the main message here, which I want you really to hear, that assumptions is the key in order to believe to your forecasts. Even if you have a 5 years company and you are predicting 2021 years forecast, it's essential. So what we already talked now. So this is the table which shows a result, that numbers that we are searching for of a revenue forecast. And in this case, we see that units sold directly are zeros here. So it means that strategy is to sell through partners or distributors. And what else? It is seen that the price is different when you sell directly or indirectly. So please evaluate this as well, because when you are selling indirectly, it is very good to have a policy just to pay on each sale. To pay a margin from each sold unit. In this case, you do not have to pay some I don't know, fixed monthly fee for calling your clients, but you can pay just for the result, some kind of margin. So in this case, we see that 30 euros is a margin for each unit sold, and there's why prices differ. When we sold directly by ourselves is 130, and when we sell it indirectly through the partners, it's 100, and it means that 30 euros goes as a profit margin to our partners who are making this sale contact instead of us. And again, we see that units sold, the quantity of your units goes up all the time. So it means that there is no seasonality in this case, and we are entering the market with this lower quantity at the beginning. And when we have a price, we have a quantity, we have a total sales amount, which we are predicting to gain to reach each month. What is important? What else is important here? I believe that at this point, we can all agree that there are always unpredictable matters, and COVID-19 was one of them last year and this year it lasts. It means that there was even a number of companies with which were discussing their forecast for 2020 in the beginning of 2020, when we haven't had the COVID situation, and they all predicted, not all, but mainly predicted that their revenues goes up and profitability will go up. And then COVID happened, and we see that corporate customers really suffered, businesses suffered from COVID, and they haven't reached their targets, they forecast, because the sales dropped and dropped even significantly based on the segments, based on their business profile. So in this case, what I'm suggesting, make not one revenue forecast how you would like to be or how it would be if everything goes well, but make it three. Plan A, B, and C. And in this case, let's make it maybe like that. Plan A, how is the realistic one? How it would be that if everything goes up to the plan, you enter the market, for example, in Lithuania, you have X number of target clients, you reach 2% of a target market, and your sales goes to X number again. So this is the realistic plan. But for example, at the moment, the question is, what would happen to your plan if we would have third or fourth wave of COVID, or if some of your suppliers would not able to provide you services or materials because they affected by COVID as well. So how it would affect your business? Will you be able to adapt very fast? So it's possible that that your revenues will go down in such case. So this is about pessimistic plan. What would happen if something happens not according to the plan? COVID-19 is just one of situations that could happen. So the difference between realistic and pessimistic plan, there's no rule what is the difference have to be in revenues. It's 20% or 30%. Just evaluate, make an evaluation of your own business case here, but the difference can be huge. For example, when we are talking about COVID, we see that there is a number of companies who lost even 50% of the revenues last year. So pessimistic plan is about the worst plan. And in this case, you will see what worst could happen, and what else you can think about the actions, what kind of actions could be taken in case of such pessimistic plan if something happens. And why it is very important, it shows that you think about the risk that can affect your business, and you think about the possibilities how to reduce the impact of your business, so you're a little bit more prepared for that. And the third plan is the optimistic one. It's the best one. So what would happen if you reach not 2 but 3% of the market? Or what would happen if you sign an agreement with distributor, for example, in Latvia or in Estonia, and you can enter 2 market during first year, not 1. And think what you have to do, what actions again you have to take in order to make this optimistic plan the real one. So do not make this optimistic plan according to some kind of vision, ideas that you're not going to implement even. Make this plan with the idea that if in case I do this extra 5 steps and I will succeed in those steps, the optimistic plan will become the real one, the very realistic one. So just think about all the possibilities that you have in your business and what are the worst case scenario, what are the best case scenario, and where you feel confident and have a number of assumptions that we can believe that the realistic plan goes first and will be the one to succeed. One more thing here to mention, when we are doing business and when we are talking about sales, we are talking about that we have to find the clients, that we have to sell them, that we want to make a huge contract with our clients. But it's not the end of a sales process. The fact that I signed an agreement with a client and sold 100 units of my product to that client, it's not the end. I have to be sure that client is able to pay for my product or service. So in this case, I really suggest you to know your customer. And from the side that is your customer able to pay for your services and products? And today we have a lot of solutions how to do that. And really you can buy financial statements from registry center in order to understand the financial situation of your company. You can check company's situation in credit info system and to see how are they doing, what are the revenues, what are the profitability, how many employees do they have some external overdues. In such case, you have to do that because you are not just about the sales. You have to be paid for that sales. So be sure and check your client that he able to do that. Especially if you are talking about postponed payments. It means that you are selling your product or services today, but you will get paid in 30, 60, or even 90 days. So what does it mean? If client will pay you in 60 days, it means you are sending your product or providing service, but you do not have money yet. So please make those extra steps. And if this is a huge amount for you, an important amount for your company of a sale contract, just evaluate, is your customer able to pay for that? On the other hand, you can always ask for advance payment. And in this case, you do not have a risk that your customer will not pay to you. But to be honest, when you are starting business, it's you who want the client. Maybe an exception if you have some kind of new product that everyone wants, but if not, so for a new company to get an advance payment from a customer, it's not so easy. So but you have to ask for that. Advance payment or annual payment, if we are talking about some kind of services, this is the safest way for you to go from the risk perspective and from cash flow perspective, because you get money in advance. And if it is not possible to agree on advance payment, so agree on a short-term payment as possible. So 30 days is always better than 60 days. 60 days is always better than 90 days. So just negotiate here and ask for as fast payment as it is possible to agree on and not to lose a client. And the last thing I want to mention here is factoring possibilities. What does this mean? If you have a really good customer that are willing to that you are willing to agree on a huge sale, and he requires to postpone a payment, for example, for even 90 or 120 days, and you are not able to do that because you need payment in advance in order to manufacture your product. In this case, you can think about factoring possibilities. What does it mean, factoring? So it's maybe just a simple example. It means that when you are making a deal with your customer, you are writing an invoice of an amount, of a sale amount, and you have a situation that your customer have to pay you in 90 days. You give this invoice to the factoring company or to the bank, and the bank pays you 80-90% of the invoice amount. And when your customer pays to the bank for this invoice, you get the rest of the invoice amount. So this is something to consider if you have a big agreement. You do not know your client very well, and he asking for the payment delay, and you are not able to provide such the postponed payment on your own according to your cash flow. So again, revenues are not equal cash. It is important not only to sell, it is important to get paid for that. And maybe it's even just something more to consider when you're thinking about your bonus system for the salespersons. It's actually, I see that in companies, it's sometimes not anymore on the sales results. It's on the paid sales results. It means that we can pay bonuses after your client paid for us. So just a little bit to consider for you. So, and now I'm here alone. So I will invite you to join me as well and to have a little bit of practice. I understand that you won't be able to figure out all the answers to those questions that I just shared with you, but I believe that the main questions comes when we are thinking about our own business case. So I would like to invite you to discuss in the groups such kind of topics. So first of all, just to share what is your product, just to understand in what kind of business you are. Which are your target market and who are your target client? And do you have a view and understanding who are your main competitors, and how many of your product can be sold for the clients? So what is your product? Again, just not to mix. What is your product? Which is your target market and who are your target clients? And do you feel confident and can evaluate how many of your product you can sell in the first year, for example? So I don't know if there are any questions regarding this task, so please ask that it would be clear in the groups. And I think that we can give 10 minutes for this task, and after that we will come back here, and I will honestly ask you to share maybe 1 or 2 teams to share just insight from your perspective about your business, and I believe that where we will have more questions about your specific cases that I'll try to answer. So Julia, can we arrange that? And is the task is clear? Please ask, please answer to this one.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, you are able to unmute yourself. So feel free just to unmute and ask Rasa, or write it in the chat if that's more, I don't know, familiar to you. And otherwise, if there are no questions yet, let's have.
I hear a question. I hear a question.
Yes, thank you. This is for the project that we're doing, the for the product that we've been working on since the beginning of the Futurepreneurs, right? The sustainable project. So the question is, what if the product that we're selling, it doesn't have a price? My group has an app. It's gonna make money through through using ads, but the app itself isn't going to be. It's going to be free. So how do we tackle that issue here?
So the app will be totally free, and
I mean, unless there's like, I think we're gonna like maybe add a premium version, like with no ads, maybe. But like the majority of the downloads will be free.
Okay, so this is the case when to ask what are the main revenues from what kind of services you are going to make the most of revenues. This is the question. So if it is free, how are you going to earn your profit?
Through ads. We were thinking.
Okay.
Like most free apps, they use ads, and they have and like you can watch. You have like the users watch ads like throughout the app, you know. And some users can pay if they don't want to see the ads.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, but in this case, if I am some kind of a company that would like you to promote me on this app, do I need to pay to you for that?
I don't know. We haven't thought of that. Probably.
So maybe this is the point, just to search a little bit more what kind of services you can have in order to increase your revenues here, or how you can to promote your app in order to have more ads on it. Is it more clear?
Yeah, it is.
A little bit. Let's search for broader possibilities how to make those
we'll
revenues.
think of something. It's all right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Julia, maybe let's take those 10 minutes and come back in 5:55, all fives.
Okay, sounds good to me. So 5:55. Okay, so 10 minutes have passed and it's time to come back. And we will be looking for volunteers, right?
Yeah, please share just to understand what kind of businesses you are going through.
So feel free to just unmute yourself and share a story.
Julia, please present your business case here.
Unfortunately, I have none, but we have a lot of participants who have great ideas, so we will be waiting for you to present.
Just please really be proactive and share. Maybe I won't be able to answer at this moment to your questions because actually, to be honest, I haven't made any of businesses by myself. So evaluating everything from a bank's perspective, but definitely if there will be any questions that I cannot answer at the moment, we will be able to chat just in LinkedIn, for example, and maybe to share some contacts with a person of the persons who could give this valuable information that you require. So
Yeah, so please don't be shy, use the opportunity. Or I will be picking people from the chat. So. I can see Simona, who has a great idea. So maybe Simona, you would like to share? I know you already made some sales, so.
already.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hello. I already established my social startup. I create clothes for kids who has type 1 diabetes and has to wear an insulin pump. And I created a special pocket to wear them comfortably and to increase their freedom of movement, self-esteem, and to try to solve those problems through my clothing. And I launched it in the 14th of November. It's already 4 months. And I have my
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a long way to do that. And I do receive some sales.
Simona, you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trying to close the door from the kids. Sorry. And I didn't made this table which was required now, but I made for myself a bit before. And I do have a direct channel through my eShop, and I have one indirect, and I'm very happy to listen to this session today because I'm relating a lot. And I have one retail shop in Vilnius that has some clothing of mine. So it's the price is different. I need to pay the percentage and so on. So I don't know what else I can say.
So Simona, but have you evaluated? You entered Lithuanian market, as I understand at the moment, correct?
Not really. I established minimal viable product and a small collection, and I thought that my goal was to cover Lithuanian market, but we have only 1,000 kids in Lithuania diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and only around 300 of them are wearing pumps, and they are not in all the range that I was able to create. I'm creating from 3 to 12 years. So those 300, for example, is from 3 to 18 years old. So Lithuania is too small market to keep me as a business, and I'm communicating in English, and I have Instagram, and sales are coming more from abroad than from Lithuania currently.
Okay, but this is the valuable steps that you have made because you analyzed how big is the market, because you said that you're gonna start it, you thought that you will start with Lithuanian market and you expanded it because it's too small. So
yeah,
this
in the world there are 550 50,000, like 500,000 of kids from 2 to 18. So it's much more potential over there. Just it's really hard to reach them, as parents don't want to share this information publicly, let's say. So this is my maybe hardest point, to reach those parents through marketing, because they are not telling anybody that they are raising such kind of kids.
And how you managed to do that? What are the sales or marketing strategy of yours?
Yeah, this is my pain points, let's say. I was trying to have a paid advertising that doesn't work in Facebook. I'm in closed groups where parents are just my direct client, let's say. I try to communicate over there, but main sales coming from Instagram, simply where they are using the hashtags and the ones who are sharing their stories and are not afraid to show their kids, their families, and their lives with this illness.
And who are your main competitors here? Do you have a lot of them in the market?
I am called a social startup for the purpose and reason because I have protected the design and nobody else have made those things. I have a diploma, but yeah, of course I do have competitors. The main one is like 99% of kids and adults who has this illness are wearing insulin pumps in special belts, and they can be ripped off, and you can fall out and open. So for this reason, I'm coming through the clothing. Then there is one Anna PS. She is Sweden, and she's doing quite for a long time. She's making only underwear, expensive ones for adults and kids. And another competitors are the regular clothing that all the kids wear and usually buy and use until now.
So your competitive advantage compared with the last one competitor that you mentioned, the regular one, because our one's a little bit different, and this one, as I understand, is the nearest one.
Yeah, she's the only one and the nearest one, and the solution is very new. Nobody ever thought about the solution and never did anything like that. So it's not that I'm having something new, but I just also need to learn to help them to learn to wear those devices in another new modern way. So it's a huge work.
Thank you for sharing. Such a great idea, and the sales, and you wanted to kept it for yourself.
No, I'm happy of sharing it, and yeah, it's a very beginning, and I would like to have a bigger sales, and it's COVID, all the thing in one. But I really hope this project will become a viable business and will grow soon.
Yeah, because I believe this is one of a way to just to spread the news, to tell about yourself, to go publicly, to maybe have some kind of with social media, some kind of cooperation in order to spread and to explain a little bit more for the society, and in this case, just to ensure that everyone knows what you are producing. In this case, I'm not your target client, but if someone in my surroundings would talk about that, I would say that Simona was here. So this is all about spreading the news that everyone would know where to call.
Yeah, very nice possibility to share. I'm very grateful. And this illness is incurable currently, so this diagnosis for all the life. But one point I would like to mention also, that when I was creating this collection, I thought a lot about SDGs, and the 10th is about equality. So these clothes are suitable for all the kids, and this is one of my goals, to make them equally beautiful as all the other kids with this invisible way of wearing their devices. So it's for all the kids actually, but my niche is just to help these kids who really can benefit from clothing. So.
Okay, thank you, Simona, for sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it was really a great example, because one of the ideas that I catched and already mentioned is that when you make those steps in evaluate the context before starting the business, you can see that you have to change your target market, or you have to search target clients to expand maybe your target clients. So this is the best way to do it, just to evaluate before starting in order to understand what are you starting really. So this is a great example. Thank you, Simona, one more time. Okay, so maybe Julia, do not pick another one. Maybe let's move forward, and this is the last chance then to ask regarding this revenue forecast, business context evaluation assumptions. If there are some kind of questions, so please shoot now, or write me through LinkedIn if it is safer for you to do so. Okay,
Hello.
so
Hello.
hello, Ruta.
Hello. So I would like to ask about the forms we have to fill in. So, for example, staff cost. Do we have to write over also like we are like a team? Should we also pay ourselves salaries, for example?
Yes, but salaries will be in the cost section, not in the revenues.
Yeah, of course, but it's staff costs. So what I meant to ask is basically only stuff that we need to hire, for example, extra people like in our case, like delivery guys or whatever, or it's also our costs. Do we usually pay salaries for ourselves in the beginning?
Of course, and this is the topic we are going to now. It's relating costs, and but the answer to your question, definitely you have to pay salaries for yourself, because in our case we see that companies are going well and you are getting 800 2 years in a row. So you have to evaluate your work that you make, and you have to pay for yourself.
Okay, so
It's increase your self confidence, and you have to. But we are moving to this cost topic at the moment. And Ruta, please do not mute yourself. Maybe you will be able to help to share your opinion on such a question. It's related to costs. For example, if we have such kind of business case and we buy components, some kind of material for 60 euros and make a small robot, and we sell it, this robot for 100 euros per unit. So could you please share your insights? How much profit do I make on such a deal?
So I think at first you get 40 euros, but from those 40 euros you have to pay salaries, taxes, a lot of stuff. So I cannot say how much profit you make, because it's like basically you pay for a component 60 euros, but you have to pay the worker to, you know, make the robot or etc. So it's very I can't answer this question. Just say like this, it's not a lot.
Ruta, you gave a best answer it could be. Thank you for that. I don't know what I'm doing here. And you are right. You are definitely right. It is not 40 euros as can be seen, because there are costs as well. And I just want to show you that there's two type, maybe even three type of costs that have to be evaluated and can be found in your own business. So the first type of costs are variable costs. What does it mean? Variable costs, it means that the higher sales volumes you have, the higher cost you have. It dependent and it goes together. Those costs, as example, a direct material cost that we paid those 60 euros for the material in the example before. Bonuses or commissions if we are paying for the sales result for our partners or employees, transaction fees, or even, like you said, delivery costs in your example. If there are some kind of delivery costs, those are variable costs because we're dependent on the sales volumes, on the sales volumes. And sales marketing costs, if we have some kind of campaigns in order to improve our sales, those are variable costs as well. And what are the greatest parts when we are talking about variable cost? That they are dependent on the volumes. It means that if we had some kind of COVID, for example, situation, and our revenues goes down by 50%, our volumes, so at the same time cost goes down. So we do not need to pay, we do not have variable cost in case we do not have sales here. The second type of cost are fixed costs, and those are costs which are not dependent on the sales, on the revenues we are making. As an example, it's, for example, accounting costs. We need to pay for accountant for our financial statements, and it doesn't matter our revenues are 100 euros or 10,000 euros. We have to pay and to do the same financial statements no matter what. Equipment or rent or office premises rent, if we have some kind of rent, we have to pay it. The other way, if we, for example, again, have some kind of restrictions like we had with COVID, it is there's a possibility just to cut those costs, just to move, for example, to work from home and not to rent office at all. But usually we pay this office and premises rent, and it doesn't matter we sell less or more, we have to pay this. The same goes with staff, and there is in this case, we have to understand that part of staff goes to fixed costs, CEO, CFO, with marketing, CMO, because we have to pay salary for those employees, no matter, it do not dependent on the volume of our sales. And on the other hand, we can have such kind of employees, for example, salespersons or partners, call centers, to whom we pay variable costs, just bonuses from their results. So it can be both way when we are talking about staff. And all other, for example, legal costs or licenses, if we have to have some kind of licenses and pay for them, or we have to analyze legal environment all the time. So it's possible that we have to have those fixed costs in our organization, and it doesn't matter what other volumes are here. And the tricky part with fixed cost is that it's not so easy to change them. For example, last year, we had this, again, COVID situation, and we saw that there were a number of companies whose revenues went down, for example, 30 or even 50%. And they started to generate loss because we were not able to react so fast and reduce their fixed costs. So in this case, we had to make some extra actions, for example, to terminate their office rent agreement in order to reduce fixed costs. So when we are comparing this fixed cost and variable cost, I would suggest you to try to have as much variable cost in your company as it is possible, because in such case you are more flexible. You can react on the situation in the market. You can even have a low profitability when your revenues goes down by 50%, because your cost goes down as well. And as I mentioned before, if you have only, for example, fixed costs, you have to make an extra actions that could take even more time just to lower your fixed costs. So just here I would suggest just to evaluate if you can have variable. So I have variable cost instead of fixed costs. And once again, then one just suggestion when we are talking about fixed costs, and I mentioned that one of examples of fixed costs is direct materials that is needed for your product to be done. So this is again about cash flow a little bit. Remember, I said that when your clients want to buy from you your product, you have to negotiate regarding advance payment or as fast payment as it is possible. So here, when you negotiate regarding, for example, with your service providers regarding, for example, material, so negotiate on the longer delayed payment as possible, because in this case you can have a service, a product which you need for your own product production and to pay later. So this is the second, on the other hand, situation. Just pay later and negotiate regarding the possibilities to pay later to your service provider suppliers as it is possible. So that's it. It's very simple when we're talking about cost structure. So what I'm inviting you just to do now is to think about your business case and what kind of cost you have, and what are the majority of those are fixed costs or variable costs in your business. This is an example of what can be in fixed cost or variable cost, but please look at it just for like an example, because I believe that in each business case there can be very different costs according to your business. So maybe, I don't know, Julia, 5 minutes we can give just for discussion. Maybe some extra questions will raise here.
Yes, I think 5 minutes is enough to just discuss the types of costs that your company will have, and you do not have to know all the numbers right now. So maybe let's come back in, I would say, in 7 minutes, 6:25.
Okay.
Good. Okay, the time is up, and we are looking for at least one volunteer once again.
Maybe Ruta will proceed with costs.
Sure.
Thank you.
So at first, maybe I'll tell a little bit about our idea. So our idea is basically, instead of plastic packaging used everywhere these days, we suggest glass packaging with like a deposit system, like glass jars. And we fill those glass jars with various long shelf life products like pasta, grains, whatever, and we deliver them to home, and the glass jar is like a deposit. So then you order again, we take those glass jars, and you don't have to pay for your next products you buy. So shortly, this is what we would like to do. So for us, fixed costs for sure would be accounting, salaries. For us, probably it wouldn't be office, but it would be basically storage space. Then manufacturing for sure would be our cost, also marketing, and from variable costs, also almost also direct materials, also sales, marketing, legal costs, for sure, bonuses and commissions. So what is on this basically form, we will have to pay everything.
And in this case, deliveries is an important part in your variable cost structure.
But as you said, I also thought like to change more fixed cost to variable cost. So for example, salaries could be basically percentage based. So like it could be a minimum salary plus percentage from revenue and etc. But I think it's details, but yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't thought so much about, we didn't thought so much about the numbers yet. It's hard to say how much everything will cost, but we will have a lot of costs for sure.
Yeah, and it one more, maybe just an idea in your case, that what does it mean to you if I do not return the package, this glass package? So how much it will cost to you if you lose some kind of some part of those packages, and you will have to make it a new one. So this is maybe just a little bit to think about.
Well, we thought that we will earn something because at first we do it as a deposit system. You pay like €3 or something. We didn't checked exactly how much it will cost for us to produce it, etc. So we believe that we would do the model that we would earn at least something if a client will think that he likes that glass packaging very much, and maybe he would like to fill in with other products or something. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much.
And I see that Elizabeth is raising her hand. Yes, Elizabeth, please shoot.
Maybe I can share my screen to show you what we already have. So I'm the group who's launching an app. So I don't know if it's possible.
Elizabeth, it should be possible.
It's written that I cannot, but maybe.
I think you need to get permission like from the moderator.
Yeah, it's because Rasa is sharing her screen, so I will make it possible, and Rasa will have to come back later.
Thank you.
Yeah, so please try again.
Yeah, perfect. Now it works. Can you see it?
Yes. Oh,
Perfect.
wow. Okay, a lot of numbers here.
Yes, so I had just a few questions about how is it called again? Like fixed cost and everything. So, for example, the salaries, maybe they are going to change through the year. So, are they fixed costs or like are they going to change? Where do I need to put them and how can I divide them?
In this case, you have to think, for example, this project and policy manager is here directly related to the sales here. And if it is not, if you need him, for example, policy managers understand you need, it doesn't matter you sell 1 or 3 or 100 apps of yours, you need to have him in place. So it means that it's your fixed cost because it's not related to your revenues.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that you cannot fire him in the next 12 months. And if he will make all the work he needs to do in your company, you can maybe even predict that in the third or fourth quarter, you do not need this person anymore, and you will not have those costs.
Okay. Perfect. I think then that's it. I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much.
But I have a question. When are you going to start? Because I see that you have really detailed budget here.
Yeah, but it's kind of fictive. Like I'm not sure we are going to stay with those prices and everything. So we'll see.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. It's impressive to see how much work you have done. You have all the table filled.
How can I not share my screen anymore?
Yeah, you should see stop sharing somewhere on top of the screen.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, I'll try to come back here with a screen. Do you see it? Julia? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, this is cost forecast, and yeah, stick to the mind to the idea. If you raise a question, it's variable cost or fixed cost, just ask yourself a question. Is it related? Is the person, for example, like in this case, some kind of project manager, is he affecting the sales directly and dependent on the sales you have? If not, for example, deliveries, it's the best example that if you have a service provider, external service provider for deliveries, so it's a variable cost, because if there are no sales, there will be no deliveries. Okay, so the final step is to answer how many robots I have to sell in order to cover costs and make a profit. So in this case, there are two ways to answer to this question. The first one is just to make an Excel table, what we see saw just. And we have to see what is the selling price per unit. For example, our robot 100 euros per unit. What are variable costs per unit? So, for example, in this case, 60 euros. And what are the fixed costs? All those salaries, accounting, office rent, for example. So, in this case, it's 4,000 euros. And what we get here, that if, for example, we sell 50 units of a product, our revenues 50 multiply on 100, 5,000, and our variable cost 50 multiply on 60 gets 3,000. Fixed costs are the same all the time, and we get total cost. And in this case, we see that with 50 units, sold units, we get not a profit, but a loss. And we have to sell 100 units in order to go to a zero profit. It means to reach that break-even point. But in some cases, it can be very difficult to make such a table and just to find this needed number to understand how many units you have to sell in order to make it zero profit. So there is a formula for you to use. So how to calculate break-even point. So just take fixed costs, divide it unit price minus unit variable costs, and you will get the same results. In our case, fixed costs of 4,000, unit price minus variable costs, and the result is 100 units per month have to be sold in order to reach this zero profitability. In other words, 100 units, 100 per unit, it means that 10,000 revenues is your break-even revenues. So this is the quantity you have to sell, and this is the revenues you have to reach in order to make a zero profit. So again, if you see that you have to sell a lot of units, and for example, like Simone, I believe, shared that market is too small for such quantity of the units. So in this case, you have to think about several questions. So how to reach your break-even point faster? So how to reach the zero profitability faster? So there's something to consider. First of all, you can raise selling prices if it is available, possible to do in the market, and if you have value to propose to your clients and be willing to pay for that. The second one, reduce variable cost per unit. For example, if we are talking about glass packaging, so maybe let's make a little bit thinner packaging, thinner glass, and in this case maybe we can reduce our variable costs and to reach break-even point faster. Or reduce fixed costs. Maybe we do not need to have an office at the starting point, and we can work from home, and to reduce this one at the current stage. And another one, just to turn fixed cost into variable cost. For example, instead of have your own delivery guys, just to outsource and instead of paying a salary, monthly salary, fixed salary, just turn into variable cost and pay for each delivery of your product. So this is, again, in the beginning, something to consider, because you do not know how many deliveries you will have to make in the first stage. And the last but not the easiest one, this just to find a way to sell more. So in Simona's case, the starting point was to enter Lithuanian markets. So how to sell more? You have to enter other markets, to be abroad in order to reach a wider target client base and to sell more. So you have to keep in mind that especially if you are going to search for financials for your business idea, and you will be going to some kind of business angels or fintechs who are willing to finance your startup. In this case, you have to evaluate that it is important how fast you will reach this break-even point, and because if you have to work 3 years in order to reach a zero profit, it's possible that it will be hard to find investors who will be willing to invest in your company if you need such kind of investment. So just consider that, I'm not sure, but in the first worst case scenario, in the second year, you have to reach this break-even point, or to find a way to reach it faster. So our first question, to which we are searching an answer here today. So how much money do I need for the first year? So when you will be able to fill out that tables and to fill in your revenues each month, this is the same numbers we had in tables before. Total costs. So we all see here that at the beginning we have only fixed costs because sales haven't started yet. And after that we have variable and fixed cost all together. And here in the third line, we have total revenues minus total cost. What is the result of each month in your business case? And the last line is accumulated profit loss. It means that we sum all the results with previous month, we added just. And what we have here, we see that in our current situation, in our case, we have accumulated loss in the end of first year, 30,800 euros. And it seems like this is the amount that we need to attract in order to start this business and to go through first year. But I would strongly suggest to add at least 20% to this amount and to increase it in this case to even 37,000, because as we mentioned, there is always several plans of how it can go. For example, you can get COVID situation again if it affects your business. You can lose maybe some of your clients especially if you are working with business clients, business to business, and you are dependent on the several clients, on the biggest clients. So in this case, you have to have a possibility just to have extra financing in extra cases. This is why at least 20% to add to the calculated amount is needed to be sure that you will be able to handle all the situations that goes not according to the plan. And secondly, let's remember that these assumptions of revenues and costs made on this forecast made on a number of assumptions. So it's totally normally that you will not write correct in all the cases, and some assumptions you will have to correct it in the first year. So for this, again, you can be additional funding can be needed. So please add 20% to the calculated amount. So, and that is it. So revenue forecast, cost forecast, and just to calculate break-even point in order to understand how much you have to sell, how many your units you have to sell in order to reach a 0 point of profit, and is it acceptable to reach in the duration that you see it is possible to do. And in order to get those numbers, not numbers, but additional evaluation and analysis is required, just context evaluations, all the assumptions. Again, in order to believe in your business plan, we need to believe in assumptions on which you based and got all the numbers. Plan ABC. Corporate customers haven't seen that COVID is coming, and plan B was needed here just to act and not just to know how it could go, but to evaluate what actions can be taken in B or C plan even. And revenues are not equal cash. So when you attract a new client, it is very good, but please remember that you have to be paid. So know your customer. It means not only how much you can sell to him, but is he able to pay for your product or services in time. So thank you. and my wishing to you is just to stay open, because the station is changing all the time, and be ready for that change. And if you have any questions, so shoot. And I was serious, if you have some kind of questions that may be raised later, so please find me on LinkedIn, right? And I'll do my best in order to help you with your situations and business cases.
Yeah, so one last minute to ask your question, one last chance here. Okay, Simona says it's a great session. So I guess we have no questions right now. So once again, thank you very much, Rasa, for sharing your experience and practical tips during this workshop. This is not an easy topic, but I think you made it much more approachable and understandable to our participants. And I want to inform everyone who's watching that if you missed any part of this or would like to rewatch some part, the recording is available on our website, futurepreneurs.eu, and on our YouTube page. And next week, we will host our final workshop focusing on pitching. So you are very welcome to participate and learn the main elements of business pitch and how to talk to the investors. So please follow our news on Facebook. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Have a nice evening and goodbye.